know the hour or the day. Time is such a gift, try and control your destiny. We don't know the hour or the day. Unity is strength, let's stand as one without delay. Cause no bad vibe, me a chant. Me no want no bad vibe, me a chant. I just peace the times all around, yeah. No bad vibe, me a chant. No bad vibe, me a chant. Say me no want no bad vibe, me a chant. I just peace the time all around, yeah. No bad vibe, me a chant.
What's up, everybody? How you guys doing today? I'm the AVM superhero, the host of Death Taught Us How to Live. On this show, we talk to different stroke survivors, TBI survivors, or anybody had a near-death experience, and let them tell us what's going on with their life and how their life has changed from this near-death experience. So today is no different. Like I was telling you guys earlier, I don't know if you guys have been watching me on social media. I've been going to the waterfront. I've been looking for a mermaid. She's very elusive, very rare, but I found her. And she is on our show tonight. Her name is Tawnie Golic, and she is our neural mermaid. So let me bring her onto the stage. Tawnie, how you doing today, sister?
Shallow. I was laughing so hard when I saw that. I was like, this is so creative and so cute and so funny. Because I was like watching it and I didn't even realize like I was tagged in it yet. Like Instagram was clearly showing me like, hey, you're in this. But I was just like, oh, cool, he's going fishing. And then I was like, oh my God.
I found you. I was fishing for you. I didn't put any hooks in you. You just came to the shore.
Yeah, which I mean, I definitely think is funny and we need to talk about because it touches on my anxiety of the fact that I took forever to get on the show with you because, you know, I'm elusive. I'm all over the place.
You're a rare commodity. We can't find you. And like a mermaid, we can't find you. You're hard to find. And we found you. We finally got the right bait. And you came into shore to actually take a couple of, 45 minutes to an hour to talk with us. So I appreciate you.
Super grateful
So,
for you.
as you are the neural mermaid, I don't want to talk about that first. I want to talk about what happened to you with your Death Taught Us How to Live. You know, what was the situation that happened to you? Can you go back to that unfortunate day that you had whatever happened to you and tell us what happened so we can understand exactly what's going on with you in your life?
Absolutely. So May 5th, Cinco de Mayo. No, I wasn't out like having fun doing all these things. I was actually in the shower when my aneurysm ruptured. So I was cognizant enough to tell my brother, you know, throw a towel on me. I didn't want to scar him or anything. And he helped carry me out. But, you know, like the fact that I had trouble walking, I was immediately sensitive to light. I actually was 28, and for some reason I thought this is just my migraines now. This is just how bad they are because I've had them since I was 15. So I actually told my parents not to take me to the ER. I know I'm very extremely lucky. The story gets even crazier because when I finally did go to the emergency room, I told them worst migraine of my life. I threw up. I don't usually throw up from my migraines. I had difficulty walking. You know, my brother had to carry me. Um, all of those things I told them I saw was seeing double, and they saw a 28-year-old and they injected me with nerve blockers and sent me home. So I actually went a week bleeding in my brain before my left eye crossed in, and they finally life flighted me to the Cleveland Clinic, and I had coils put in. They were not able to stent it at that time because I had so much blood in my brain. So the first 6 months I spent getting scanned every month to see if we need to put a shunt in for the built up spinal cord fluid or a stent, like what's going on. And I was great for about 7 years. And then on my 7-year anniversary, we found that my coils were slipping and that I had another aneurysm, which now I look at it more as they just didn't get all my aneurysm the first time and because they weren't able to put the coils in there. So I don't like to think about it as the fact that I have 2 aneurysms now. I try and just think of it as like we just had one big one. We just had to go have 2 brain surgeries. So I'm 8 years out from my one aneurysm rupturing, and I'm 1 year out from my other aneurysm not rupturing.
This That's a lot. So basically, you had an aneurysm and it ruptured. 7 years later, you found out it was still there. And you're talking about anxieties and all the different types of things that's going through your mind. What was going through your mind when you actually found out that the aneurysm was still there, that you wasn't out of the clear yet?
Oh, I was like, oh, so my worst fear is correct. Like, that's awesome. That's way to just, make your anxiety worse because you're like, I'm right. But luckily, because I have had so much anxiety after the aneurysm, that I've had to use so many tools. So I luckily was able to, like, I talk about retraining your brain, and I quickly saw it as an opportunity. I was like, this is happening for me so that now my brain surgery can be secure. Like, nobody wants to have another brain surgery, but like, I've been walking around with half done brain surgery. Like, that is way more anxiety ridden than and I go, and now I have the opportunity to go through brain surgery with support system. Like, my first time, it was all, an emergency. Things were not planned, not that you still plan brain surgeries. So a lot of anxiety and a lot of using different tools to not let my anxiety get the best of me.
What do you mean by tools? I'm very intrigued by this because I know a lot of people out there that, they heard they have an aneurysm and they have to get it coiled and they waiting for that operation to happen to get it coiled or to be removed. Uh, for me, I'm trying to understand that mindset that you was in and how you overcome this. So you saying these tools, I want you to actually explain those tools. So those people that's out there that's probably going through a surgery next week, next month, or have something scheduled for that, how to get around that so their anxieties don't get the best of them.
Absolutely. I would love, and these were things, and they're probably stuff that you had heard before too, breath work, breathing. I remember back to even before the stroke, my I had my gallbladder moved when I was 15, and I remember the nurse telling me to breathe, and I like yelled at her like, "What is breathing gonna do for this pain?" And it's something I've employed since then, but really after the stroke, so guided meditation, going on a walk. So a lot of times when my anxiety would get really bad, I was, meditating. I was walking the dogs. I was trying to breathe. Another tool that I talk about a lot is grounding. So going outside, getting nature, gardening. If you've noticed since the second brain surgery, like, I'm gardening a lot more. I'm focusing on things that I like that can just help bring me out of my brain thinking about all these stuff that I can't control and things that I actually can. I talk about the community a lot. It really helps to give back a lot of times, just venting to somebody else who has been there. As soon as I found out about the second brain aneurysm, in fact, I immediately DM'd a couple survivors that I knew because I was like, okay, you can talk to me. And so I would think about them and I'm like, they're dealing with this, and it would help give me like just help that anxiety, like other people are battling this and they're doing okay. Uh, Trying to think some other tools. I was using cold showers at the time. I know that that's super extreme and you do need to talk to your doctor, so please consult your doctor before you do that. Um, but that kind of shocking your nervous system was a really good way to get myself to kind of just be present in right now, because once you start thinking about all the what ifs and all of the things, and like, I deal with migraines, and so during that time period, I was having migraines, and it was like, is they know my coils are slipping, like, are they slipping so bad, and that's why I'm having this migraine, like, what's going on? And so I had to manage my migraines. Luckily, it was only a month after I found out about the second aneurysm before I had the next surgery.
Before we go any further, we have somebody come on here that actually put in a comment there saying hello to us. Super villain, Vincent, how you doing, sir? Thank you for tuning in and checking us out. And everybody out there, if you guys are watching us, please subscribe and follow and like this video so we can actually get more people to understand about living after a stroke or death teaching us how to live. So, Tawnie, I'm curious. You saying the things that helped you out with your anxiety, but I could only imagine that the people that's around you, like your family members, are you married?
Yes, I am married.
Your husband, your parents, if they're still alive, what did they actually do when they heard that, oh man, we have to go through this all over again? How did they actually calm down, and how did you soothe them through that time?
Ooh, that's a great question. My husband was really good. He was like, "Okay, whatever we need to do, we're gonna do it, and you're gonna be okay. Like you've already made it through something really dangerous. You're gonna be okay through this." My mom was definitely a lot more like, "Wait, what do you mean?" But at the same time, she goes, "They did tell us that you were gonna have to have another surgery because they didn't ever put the stent in." So they were kind of like prepared for it. Um, and how did I help them? You know what? I'm looking back and I'm like, I was so, like, focused on keeping my anxiety. There were actually a couple times where they were being more anxious, like, more like, "I think maybe you should go to the hospital," and I was like, "I'm not gonna let my anxiety win," and I was like, "I don't think it's that bad," and, like, sure enough, I would get better and be okay. So I feel like they were a lot more cautious, um, because also they don't know my body. So I had to do a better job of explaining, like, exactly how I was feeling.
I know I put you on the spot, but you actually dove right into it, and I'm glad you did. You know your body. And that's why I asked you the question, how did you ease their pain? A lot of us as stroke survivors, we understand what's going on with us and other people don't. And they just looking at us, trying to give us the words to sympathize with us, to comfort us and all of that. But, we have a obligation to them to let them know how we're feeling and how this is affecting us so they can actually deal with us properly. Do you agree with that or no?
100%. And that was one of the things I really learned through both brain surgeries is like, I know my body the best, so I have to advocate better. And that means voicing when you notice things. And also, it's very easy to get caught up when everyone's like, well, should you go? And you're like, well, I need to know because I need to feel comfortable with my decisions. Because at the end of the day, nobody else has my body and nobody else knows what's really going on.
I've been watching you for a very long time, probably about 4 or 5 years. I've been seeing you and doing your thing. And one thing I've noticed about you is that you really don't care what anybody thinks. You just live your life and you do whatever you want to do to the fullest. Was you always this way, or did your stroke transform you to say, you know what? I'm going to live my life. I don't care what anybody think. And if you don't like it, so what? Can you explain that?
Uh, Yes, 100% it was the stroke. Um, I was pretty outgoing anyways. I was pretty like, you don't have to like it. I definitely wasn't always everybody's cup of tea. I was like a little punker, kind of different. But the stroke made me realize, like, at the end of the day, like, I don't want to have regrets. I just remember laying in the hospital bed and wondering like and it's really scary when they're telling you as the blood breaks up in your brain things are going to change and you're going through changes and they can't tell you if that's permanent or not. So you I mean, I don't know if anybody else can relate. I spent a lot of time thinking of all the things like I should have done that. Why didn't I do this? Why did I care what so and so thought about whatever? And so after the stroke, I definitely was like, we only get one chance. And now a second brain surgery, I'm like, I really don't care if you don't like it. Like as long as I like it and I'm not hurting anybody.
Tony, I'm laughing in the background because I feel exactly the same way. If you don't like it, so what? When I was in my hospital bed, laying there, couldn't walk, and I thought I was going to die, I was like, if I get another chance, I'm going to live it up. I don't care what anybody thinks. I don't care what my mom think, my children think. I don't care. It's my life, and I'm going to move forward. Let's talk about that a little bit. Um, I don't think people really understand. They think, okay, you're a miracle child. You survived a stroke, so you must be the perfect angel. I'm like, well, yeah, maybe, maybe not. But we're really trying to live our life and tell people how to live their lives to the fullest, not to be, shy, close off, or let your mind control your actions. Just go and live and go, caution to the wind. how can you explain that to other people that are looking at us and like, you guys don't know what you're talking about. You guys are just being reckless. What do you say about that when people say that to you?
I tell them, you you don't remember the bad times as much as you remember the good times. Like, you really do. And I just said, I will not go back into that hospital bed and have regrets and wonder what if. I would rather do things and just squeeze the joy out of life because it's so much more worth it. And when you talk to anyone who's older, anyone who's gone through something, they are the same way. That's why some people think old people are really rude. I'm like, they just don't care. They don't have the time, energy to want to please everybody. They just are how they are.
I
They
completely get that. I completely get that. Uh, and people look at me as weird, or they or walking on eggshells with me. I'm gonna dip this into a little bit further. With your having a stroke, and you understand how precious life is, and you want to do all these things. Like you say, you're doing grounding, you're doing breath work, you're doing meditation, all that great stuff. I do those stuff too. Um, Explaining that to other people makes it very difficult for you to, how can I say this gently, be around those people, because they don't want you to be this new person. They want you to be the old person. How do you handle that? And if someone is going through that right now, what do you tell them so they can keep their sanity?
you know, your time and your peace is so precious. So, like, I used to be like, I want to educate, and I still do. I love to share and I love to try and help out and tell people about what I'm doing. Um, and I mean, I have my family members. I have, like, my one cousin is like, oh, did they have your second brain surgery and finally fix that thing to make you stop thinking you're a fish? So, like, his love language is teasing. I love it. It's fine. But, when I say I'm gonna go meditate or I'm gonna go ground, they laugh at me and they tease me. That I used to wanna teach them and, like, change their ways, and now I'm just like, "You are how you are, and I am how I am. So, I'm not here to please you, and you don't have to do it. I'm not asking you to do it with me, but, like, just leave me alone," kind of is my thing. And so, like, my whole family, they don't like when I do my side shave. They make it abundantly clear, and I've told them, "I'm not doing it for you, and I don't really care if you don't like it or not." So, I just say I turn down the haters. I just turn down the negative stuff that I don't really wanna hear, and reach out to people who do enjoy those things about you, or at least have been through some of the stuff and get it.
Yeah, people make fun of things they don't understand. It's a weird thing. I know when I had my stroke, I was happy and disappointed at the same time. I was happy that I would survive, but I was disappointed that I had to go back to all this negative energy of people and all this closed-mindedness of people out there. I realized when I started dealing with the stroke survivor community, I got involved with people that understood me, and I didn't have to do a lot of work for them to understand me. It was like, soon as I saw you, boom, you're my sister, you're my brother, you're my father, you're my mother, my daughter, my son. It was instant. Have you ever felt that way in any other community besides the stroke survivor community?
No, the stroke survivor community, it's unlike anything else. When I've met every other survivor I've met, it's this weird, I say it's a soul connection. It's just, I think, um, I joke, but I'm just like, we're just soldiers who have been through a very dark, crazy battlefield. So it's like, I don't know. I feel like it's like other people, how my grandpa was in the military. So it's like he can recognize another military person. So I know I'm making like war references, but honestly, recovery is a war with yourself and the world at times.
Yeah, because I met somebody for the first time that I talk to on social media all the time. Her name is Michelle Humphrey. I met her and her husband and her son, and my mom was there. And we went out to lunch. They came from Illinois. They came to New York, and we had lunch. But it was the weirdest thing, Tawnie. It was like we was just sitting there ignoring everybody else, and we just had this conversation like we known each other for our whole entire life, and it was so refreshing. And I could see it in her face, and she could see it in mine that this conversation is genuine. We don't have to explain how we feel because you know how I feel. You know what I've been through. So that's the part that I don't think people really understand. We love, the people, the non, like Joe would say, the normies. We love the normies.
We love the normies.
We love the normies, but they just don't understand what we're going through and what we
Yeah.
get into this community, this tribe per se. It's the best thing on earth. Am I right with that?
It really is. 100%. Like, it's the one thing I wish, like, I'm tearing up about it because I wish I would have met more survivors in person. I was very like online, but I just kept being, I took in really into account, oh, you're so different. So I was like, why do I need to meet everybody in person? Like, it's great. I talk to everybody online, but please, if you haven't yet, do it. It will help you, like you said. I mean, me and Joe, the very first time we finally met in person, I mean, crazy whole adventure, going off the side, rappelling off a 14-story building, and then the whole weekend. But it was funny, with his girlfriend there, and then his girlfriend's friend was like, "Oh, they've been friends for years, haven't they?" And we're like, "No, we like literally, I mean, we have been friends for years, but this is the first time we've met like in person."
Hold on. I get that, but I'm just looking at or envisioning you and Joe in the same room because you guys got that same type of bubbly personality. It's like fireworks all over the place. I love it. I love it. So
It's a lot. You need a lot of coffee.
yes, you do to keep up with you guys. You guys are amazing. But that is a very interesting thought. Having his girlfriend and her friend looking at you guys like, yo, you guys must have known each other for years. And you're like, no, not really, but we just understand each other. It's the weirdest thing. I can't explain it to people unless you've been inside of this particular lifestyle. We got another. Go ahead.
Oh no, I was gonna say how Vinny said going to Maddie's event was life changing. So like me and Maddie, okay, we have only met in person 2 times. This LA event was only our second time meeting in person, but we have gone live together every Sunday for the past 4 years. And like it was my first time meeting her mom, but like her mom, we gave each other big hugs because I'm like, oh my God, Maddie's mom, like you're her mom. So it's a family, in a weird, like cool way.
It's definitely a family, and I am so grateful that I got out of my shell and got involved inside of social media to find all these great people. Because if I didn't, like Tawnie, you were in California, I would never met you. Maddie, well, she's in Pennsylvania. She's all the way across the country, and you met her. And you've been talking to her for 4 years. But if you wasn't on social media, you would never have met her. It's amazing. It's absolutely amazing that we actually find these people, love these people, and grow a whole different life, and they understand this whole new life. I love it.
I love what the social online thing is. It helps with your spoon. So like, sometimes with people, it's like, I can't go hang out all the time, but I just love that, like, we all get it. Like sometimes someone will be like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I ghosted you for a month. And it's like, yeah, oh, I didn't even notice. Like, it's okay. We're all busy. So like, we're, I think, also a lot more understanding to, when we have to cancel on plans and do stuff like that.
So I've been alluding to this and making promos about this, but we haven't talked about it as of yet. The Neural Mermaid. What is that about, and why are you the Neural Mermaid? Talk about that for me, please.
So after the brain aneurysm, I did find a job and it was opening pearls. And so mermaids love pearls. And there was another girl who was like, test the unicorn. So I was like, oh, I want to be Tawnie the mermaid. So I also found the mermaid community, and my first mermaid meetup, I'm like me talking to everyone, and they go, what's your name? And I'm like, Tawnie the mermaid. And they're like, no, what's your real name? And I was like, oh my God, like, are we supposed to have stage names? And I find out people have mersonas, so they have like another name. And so I started thinking, I was like, oh, well, I have all this neurological stuff going on. Why don't I be the neuro mermaid? And I just thought it was really cool way to raise awareness, because that's really why I got into the mermaid. Was it was like a fun way to do my rehab. And then I was like, I really want to raise awareness with this mermaiding, because it brings light and fun to a really dark, not fun topic.
I get it. So That's an interesting concept. You said, it's a very dark place and this brings the light to it. So are you suggesting, as a stroke survivor or someone with a mental illness, or not a mental illness, but a mental brain injury, do you recommend them finding a hobby to help them with their recovery?
100%. And that's what this started to become was I suggest not only a hobby, but like a hobby you were not into prior, because that's what mermaiding did for me. So first of all, I could not compare it to how it used to be. I don't know about you guys, but I went back to work, I went to all these different things, and you naturally start comparing yourself to how it used to be. And so I would get really frustrated. So the first time I like to say that I put my mermaid tail on and was in our pool, I was just sitting there with my legs, just working that and realizing, how my core had disappeared, all these different things. Because my whole life I was a swimmer. I played water polo. I started in middle school. So I was like, oh, I'm going to be great at this. Well, surprise, surprise, I go to swim and, water goes up my nose because all of a sudden I can't multitask. I can't, at the time. Shouldn't say can't. I have a harder time doing it. So I immediately popped up and I start crying and I'm mad. And then I look down and I see this mermaid tail and I started laughing. And I was like, why did you think you were going to be good at this? Like, this is something you've never done before. So I highly suggest it does not need to be mermaiding, but having a hobby where it's brand new. So everything you're doing is a fun learning experience and you're not, when you don't do well, you're not like, oh, well, I used to be able to do it this easily. You're like, I've never done this before.
Tawnie, you're bringing up a lot of things. First of all, I like to commend you because I could tell you've done a lot of shadow work. As soon as you said the word "can't," you not say, "No, I can't say can't." This is not at this time. So you've done a lot of shadow work. I see that you work with your words. It's pretty good. I'm very impressed by that. Two, um, when I had my stroke, initially had my stroke, I was fortunate to live with my grandniece. And she was born right after I had my stroke, but I saw her learn how to walk. And by watching her learn how to walk, she will fall, but not complain, not scream or yell, just get right back up and do it again. So that comparison that I'm trying to make here is that when you was in the pool with your tail, you said, okay, boom, everything messed up, but I'm gonna do it again and again until I get it right. And now you probably one of the experts at it right now, aren't you?
It's really fun, and it also just became, something really good for my mental health. So I deal with depression and anxiety, and it helped me it was like putting on this alter ego. Well, Tawnie the neuro mermaid has tons of glitter and lots of makeup, and I used to say I'm less likely to cry off my makeup if I have a lot and it's like all cute. So I would do these vibrant, really crazy looks, and mermaiding became this like alter ego that I could tap into to help me get over my anxiety, to go to events and do things. And then it also would help me on the days when I was really depressed. I would lay there and I would look at my videos or my pictures and I still do it. And I'm like, see, you're still that magical mermaid. Like you may not feel like it right now, but like you are still that person.
No, I took one of your videos. It looked like you was getting knocked out by the waves. So I hope you're not mad about that one.
No, I'm so glad you did. No, I literally have a reel that's where it's just me getting smacked in the face because I think that that's so much more empowering. I could sit here and there are mermaid pages like that where they only edit and show themselves just like beautiful and magical. And I told my friend from day one, like, I want to show the climb. I want to show the difficult stuff you have to go through. Like, I am not Ariel. I want to be a magical mermaid. And do I have those moments? But a lot of that is through the power of editing. And just like in life, just look at your life. There's a moment where they could take of the exact same dinner where it looks like a beautiful dinner, and then you could take another snapshot and it is like a hot mess. So I love that with editing and having videos and stuff, but I also found that really important in mermaiding. I didn't It's like weird. It's like I do want to be this magical mermaid, but I also like showing not the magical mermaid.
No, I completely get it. Supervillain saying Being able to fail without beating yourself up is such a difficult lesson that I still need to be reminded of. Absolutely.
And I totally forgot the big thing with the mermaid tail. I told everybody I knew mermaids that make design tails, and I'm like, I want to get my brain scan on a mermaid tail because how cool would it be to transform like the thing that should have killed me into something really beautiful? And so I do have my brain scan on a mermaid tail. And that is the one that I repelled over the 14-story building. So like to have that moment where it really was raising awareness for brain aneurysms and AVMs, and then to like be down at the bottom talking to people and then be like, why are you in a mermaid tail? Like, why are you doing this? And I'm like, oh, I've had 2 brain aneurysms. Like, and to educate, it's like, it still is the most profound, one of coolest moments of my life, just to be able to do that.
No, I get that. I completely get that. Supervillain said something again. So important to show realness on social media so people don't think they're alone in not getting things right away. I completely agree with you, sir. And
It's
and and you said something earlier, Tawnie, and I wasn't gonna bring it up, but you brought it up, so I'm gonna
oh
talk
yeah.
about it now. You
Oh,
said,
I want to.
I know you do. I know you do. You said, Greg, I was avoiding you. And, things that was happening in my life. People get confused. Now, I'm not saying you do, but I'm saying people on social media will get confused that, just because we show a good face doesn't mean that we're going through hell and pack each and every day. And I understood that. He was like, Greg, I want to be on your show. I'm like, all right, cool. So we was talking, and all of a sudden, I couldn't find you. I'm like, what the heck is going on? Then I called you one day. He's like, I got a lot of stuff going on. I'm like, okay.
Great.
Okay, I get it. I get it. She's going through something right now. Instead of me just bashing, like, well, you promised me, you told me he's gonna do this. I just had to be kind and say, you know what? We'll catch up another time. And that's it. And I think that's the part that people don't understand about, what we are going through as survivors. We are going through a whole lot of things. Just imagine your brain got shut down and turned back on. That's what's happening with us. So we understand what's going on with other people that had these strokes. Had these strokes. So we know how to be patient with them. All we want is for people that didn't have a stroke, normies, to understand it and be patient with us. And can you talk about this? Because this is very troubling for me, because people get on my nerves, my last nerve with this, not understanding invisible disabilities. People come to us and say, well, I saw you last week and you was able to do this, but today you can't. Can you talk about that and why it's so important that you need to be kind and patient with us because we have brain damage?
Yes. So it's like just because you look okay on the outside, it doesn't mean that in my brain there's not a million things going on. And so like Greg was touching upon, thank heavens, most people be like, "Oh, you just slipped out on me. You don't ever need to be on my show again. Like I don't even need to talk to you." But he could recognize he's like, "Whoa, she has way too much on her plate. She just like you can get back to me when you want to." And I think it goes to just, I don't even want to say like normies and people going through things like people. Like, can we stop judging a book by its cover? Can you realize that, usually the people who are the nastiest need the most love? They're going through a hard time. Like, can you just take a moment to think, hmm, this person just reacted in a way that isn't quite normal. Instead of me matching their energy and being like, you know what, you're just like, okay, well, how about let me just say, like, are you okay? Or like, is there something I can do to make this time better or anything like that? I think advocating for it is also really hard. I feel almost this weird thing of like with the depression, it's like you say you have depression, and then people honestly, their first response is, no, you don't. And you're just like, what? Why would I say I'm depressed if I wasn't depressed?
I'm laughing at that. Uh, I didn't understand depression until I had my stroke. I didn't understand the different levels of depressions until I had my stroke. And I have I think it's part of my questions I'm gonna ask you later on, but I want to know, I want you to dive into this because you said this probably about 3 or 4 times, the word depression. Grounding, meditation, breath work, Why is it so important when it comes to dealing with your depression and anxiety? Can you explain that to people?
Um, yeah, because it's your body. It's like a natural physiological thing. I was so against it. All the other survivors, you need to meditate, you need to do breath work. And I was just so in fight or flight. I was like, I don't have time to breathe. I mean, I would say things like, I'll sleep when I'm dead. I don't have time. Like, I got a second chance. I got out of that hospital bed. Like, nobody's putting me back before I get all these stuff done. So it was a totally different mindset, and I look at it now, and almost everything can be solved when I just take a couple deep breaths and, like, you go for a walk, because you end up figuring out, like, your brain actually does these amazing things when you walk. And I know some of you are like, "Well, I can't walk, jerk. Why did you just say that?" I'm just meaning getting some fresh air, doing something different, getting your mind off of just ruminating over this, like, anxiety thing. And so I've just learned that those things, no matter what instance I've been in on the top of a 14-story building where the wind is way different up that high, I'm just gonna tell you, um, I was just breathing.
So you basically got out of your own head, and the breathing allows you to be more focused and be in the present. Is that what you're saying to me?
Yeah, so
So
being in the present, you're right.
I like this analogy. You keep on bringing it back up. You're amazing how you speak in these interviews. But you say this building and going over the edge of this building, and you put thought into it, and people didn't understand the thought that you put behind it. You had thought that you went down with your mermaid outfit. You showed that you had your brain scan on there, but all the time you're going through a million things because you're scared out of your mind going across this building. But at the end of it, you was prepared to be an advocate and to educate people on this. Why do you operate that way? Why don't you just be selfish and don't care about anything else? Why do you want to give back to the people like that?
It's given back to me, like, honestly, because I hear it a lot, like, I feel like, once we go through that, we hit this part where you're so grateful to be alive, but for some reason you keep focusing on all the things that you lost or that changed, and you're just like, why did I survive to have this? And it wasn't until I started connecting with more survivors and seeing, like, I survived for a reason to, like, leave. I always like to say, like, I'm not, like, necessarily guiding the path, I'm just, like, giving example. I'm shining light onto different skills, different tools, and different things we can do. So, there has been so many times where, I will literally be about to, "Oh, man, why do you need to take a nap? You didn't even do that much." And then I will think of other survivors, and I'm like, "You wouldn't talk to any of them that way," or a lot of times I give you guys advice, and then later, I swear, like, something happens, and I'm like, "Oh, yeah, okay, hey, take that advice that you just gave somebody else." And so it has truly helped me, like, every time someone tells me I'm inspiring, I just feel more motivated to try and just be better, and learn more things, so it's totally, like, a give and take, and also, if you can't tell, like, my love language is acts of service, so
I completely get it. 'Cause I've been watching you, like I said, I've been watching you for years, and it's a lot of things that I see you do. You exercising with Tracy. You do the show with Maddie. I see you do makeup. I see you playing with your turtle. I see you doing a lot of things that showing life that life is not over. Just because this happened to you, you keep on going and you do it with a smile. Even though you might be hurting the inside, you do it with a smile. So for the people that's out there that don't have that gusto, that way to just say, you know what, I'm going to keep on going. You know, can you talk about that time that you said, you know what, I'm done feeling sorry for myself. I'm done having this pity party. It's time to move forward. What was that aha moment for you so other people could understand that you've been there as well and they could get further in this life after a stroke?
Um, I have to give it to my kiddos. So I worked in special education, and I was like having a rough day. I swear I cried every single day at school. Um, and one of our kiddos just, I don't even remember what it was about, but he was like, "It's okay, Miss Tawnie. Like, you don't have to cry. Like, you'll be okay. I know you had a boo boo on your head. Like, you'll be okay." And I just like had this realization that I like got a second chance and that these kiddos, like I'm sitting here complaining about all these things, like how it used to be. And I'm like, some of them have things like they never got a chance to have stuff a certain way. So I was like, I need to stop thinking and trying to get back to that person. Like that person is dead. I get to rebuild. Like how effing cool. Most people say they have like a midlife crisis. Like we literally got to like blow up ourselves and start a brand new one. So it took that and just constantly looking at it that way. Like it's not like people think it just happened one day. Like it
You're
takes a
saying
lot.
so much stuff that I actually really relate to. Like that old person is dead and stop complaining. It's hard to start to live because people are watching you, and people
Yeah.
are definitely watching. And you dealing with young kids, they are watching you. So Supervillain said something else again. Legacy of love. Supervillain is our God today. And we have another one from Trezana. Trezana said, we must remember some stroke survivors or any survivor still might have toxic personality traits before and after. Just be mindful and protect your peace at all times. It, in my opinion. Well, it's my opinion too, Trezana. I like that. I like that as well. What do you say about these two things? Legacy of love and what Trezana said.
Um, both, I think, like Vinny, the whole just giving back, and that's what's really cool. And it actually kind of entertains both of them. There are a lot of survivors, and that's what I love, obviously, Greg, who went through this, and we're just like, I just want to give back. I want to help other people. If I can just lessen, like, and that's why just dark and light are the analogies that help me. It's like, if I can just shine a little bit of light, you may not want to go my same path, but I'm just saying, if I can shine it and make it a little bit lighter and then you go find somebody else and we find different things, and like also when we do something we're doing it for the whole community, and that's what's motivated me. Whereas I know that some people, like Trezana said, that if you were a jerk before, you're probably going to be a jerk after, and things might not change. Some people go through a midlife, and they want to become better and they want to do things. I definitely think it's important to protect your peace. You can't save everybody. You can, extend a life jacket, but at the end of the day, if some people just want to bring you down, and I definitely know that my light does attract some of those people who it's like they don't want you to be happy, and you do have to protect your
All right,
peace.
so you touched on it, and thank you, Trezana, for saying that. I really appreciate that. Um, some people don't like your light, your energy, who you are, how you act. Um, at first, it bothered me because I
You were in
really
your
want to ask you
darkness.
this. No, I want to ask you this because you're an attractive woman and you show yourself out there. You want people to see who you are. You just live in life, and some people might take it the wrong way. And I want to know your opinion because this happens to me a lot. A lot of women look at me and want to date me just because
Oh, I bet.
just because how I put myself out there. And I had this one situation. It was very sad. I was talking to this one woman that had short-term memory loss, but she was attracted to me. And I would tell her, I was like, no, I don't want to do that. I just want to help out stroke survivors. And 5 minutes later, we'll have the same conversation over again. And it was very disheartening for me because I didn't know how to help her. So she was attracted to me first. Then I wanted to help her, but I didn't know how to help her. So it made me jaded. And then she passed away. So I didn't know how to do that. So the question I'm asking more or less, because I know you're an attractive woman and you probably get that all the time.
As a mermaid
How do you
too.
yeah, okay, and a mermaid too, but how do you handle that and still keep your sanity when people trying to get at you, but you don't want to get at them and you don't want to do anything with them. You just want to help them out, but it it brings you down because they are so negative at trying to mess you up with your marriage or whatever.
Well, I'm very blunt. I was pretty honest before, but now again, we don't have time and energy. I had two brain surgeries. We're not messing around. Um, Most of the time when they're like, "Hey baby, hey sexy," I'm very quick in the DMs. I'm like, "I am happily married. I have many guy friends. it's not about that, but I just need you to know and be respectful that this will not go anywhere. I love helping other people and supporting, but I don't entertain that. And usually most people are like, "Oh my God, I'm so sorry. Like I came off that way. I didn't know." Like other survivors, like I love one survivor was like, "I'm married, babe. I call everyone babe." Like they're Australian. And so it was very funny to realize like it was a cultural thing. But to me, if you set a boundary, the only people who have a problem with the people with boundaries are the people who like need them. So if you're offended by me telling you that I'm married, then like we don't need to talk.
Okay, I get it. I get it. You're blunt, no filter, ready to go. Super villain saying, that's tough. I want to be like by everyone. It really bothers me when I can't be a positive for someone. Yeah, it bothers me too. That's the same problem I have. Same
Give
problem.
yourself more years. I used to be like that too. And then it was almost like because you start realizing, and here's the thing is it was like the squeaky wheel gets the grease. I used to have people and I'm like, "Oh, you just need more love. Like I just need to love bomb you more. Like I just need to like more time and energy with me, it will rub off on you." And what I realized is I'm not saying cut them off or anything like that, but like if I continue to try and help you and you aren't even attempting to make some changes, I just have to start looking at it as like, who else deserves that time and energy? Who is willing to make some changes? And I know to some people, like, they're like, wow, that's pretty cold. I'm not saying cut people off. You don't have to do that. My heart still hurts. But like if you it's like if I have to look at my time and energy. If when we're spending time and energy, neither of us are growing from this and it's literally actually taking my time and energy away from other people and dimming my light, like is that really helping everybody? So when I started looking at it as like I want to help more people, then that made it easier to not need everybody to like me.
No, I get that. So you said this has been 8 years for you, and so you understand the different levels of different stroke survivors. Like I started to realize that there are people in their first year, people that just coming out of the hospital, second year, third year, and I can see the progression of them. How do you deal with those different entities coming at you, talking to you, and asking you questions, asking you advice, and they're not ready for what you really want to give them? How do you scale back, if you do scale back at all?
I also do really, I mean, empathy. You try and put yourself back, like, year one, what did I need to hear? I didn't need to hear some of the other stuff. So I do try to be mindful of that, but also to be honest, I feel like there's a lot of stuff that it's like I wish someone would have told me that sooner, and I'm sure there's things that you learned, it's like they still ring true. We should have rest is so important. I don't care, and I think it's so silly that why we put this weird thing, a year out, I shouldn't need as much rest, like I should be healed. It's like, no, I had a stroke. Like if I need more rest every day for the rest of my life, I do.
And I think that's what is needed. People just have to be kind to themselves, because a lot of times people get upset. Like you said, you did water polo.
Yeah.
Was that what you did? Like I used to play basketball. I used to play football. And then I would get mad at myself, like, man, I can't play basketball anymore. And then I said to myself, like, Greg, you're 48 years old. You probably can't play basketball how you played when you was 18-year-old. It wasn't a stroke. It was natural that your body was not going to adapt to it like you used to. And I had to be kind to myself. Once I figured that part out, everything became much better for me.
But that didn't
Tawnie,
happen
we're at the
early
end of our
on.
show. No, absolutely don't. Absolutely not, because you're mad, you're upset, and you want things to be the way it was before. But then you come to that realization, like that second year comes to that realization that, okay, I'm beating myself up for nothing. I get it. But we're at the end of our show. And at this particular time, we do our hot seat questions. So I ask you about 5 or 6 questions, and you go and give me your answers. I would like for you to keep these questions and answers to 30 seconds or less. When you're ready for your next question, say, Greg, next question, and I'll give you the next question. And then at that particular time, when we're done with our 6th question, you will close out the show. Tell everybody how they can find you or any information that you want to leave for them. So, guys, I appreciate you guys so much. I will not be closing out the show. Tawnie, the Neural Mermaid will be the one that is so loose, so she has to go back because the tide is about to leave. So I got to make sure she gets out so she don't be stranded on the dry land at night. So let's go and do our hot seat question with Tawnie and let her explain what she knows with our hot seat questions. So Tawnie, are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right. Question number 1: how did you get out of the darkness?
Focusing on the little things that bring me joy, most specifically my pets. Next question.
Okay. Here you go. Question number 2: what was the hardest part of your stroke recovery?
Ooh. Ooh, that's hard. I would probably say uh, it's between the tiredness and the emotion regulation because I feel like it's always changing, and so it's something that you deal with daily, and it's something that like I don't know. I feel like year 8, I'm like I thought I would be better at this, and I'm still learning with it. So, next question.
Here you go. Question number 3: what advice would you give a caregiver in their first year dealing with a stroke recovery?
More patience and knowing that we don't know what we even want sometimes. So I know that you can give suggestions and be like, I'm out of suggestions. What do you want? Like, honestly, saying that or giving them again. Like, my mom did a really good job of she would walk behind me and she would put her hands up to like in case I fell. And like I would turn around and be like, put your hands down, I don't need it. But like I know as soon as I would turn back around, she would put her hands out. So like please keep doing that. Even though we say we don't need it, like we do need it. Um and oh, I had to read the question. I'm like, am I only allowed to give one thing? We're still under 30 seconds because I can't really fast. Also, I I'm just gonna say I think snacks help everything. So just like help, just bring us like a snack. If you're like, I don't know what you want, like, and maybe that's my love language. So next question.
Question number 4: what do you want people to know that is not easy for a young stroke survivor to explain?
It is so hard because I know it's hard for everyone to realize that you're gonna be, in different stages than everybody else, but being a young stroke survivor, like mine happened when I was 28, so it was, like, really hard watching all my friends get married and have babies, and I know a lot of us survivors talk about that and just I know comparison is the thief of all joy, but it's, like, it's hard when even a normie says like, "Oh, man, all my friends are getting married and I feel left out." Like, so that part of being a young stroke survivor because I feel like all the milestones that, like, everyone else hits, like, I don't, so it's, like, hard to realize that, like, your path is different. So, being a young stroke survivor, whereas, like, most people don't have it till they're 40, and so it's like, you've already had your kids and married and done all those things. So, that part of being a young stroke survivor, because it also opens up, like having a baby is a whole different ball game. All of these things are different things. And like at the time my boyfriend broke up with me when I had my stroke. He was like, "Oh, that's too much." So dating with a stroke is freaking hard. Next question.
I didn't mean to make you cry, but it's good TV. Keep on crying. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to say that, but it is. Question number 5: what misconception do people have about stroke survivors?
That it only happens to old people. Like, stop telling someone, "Oh my God, you're too young to have that happen to you." Like, yeah, I realize that. I wish illnesses had uh a legal thing. Like, you can't drink until you're 21. I wish you could not have things till you're 40. That'd be great. So, next question.
All right. Here is the 6th and final question: what did the threat of death teach you?
To enjoy the now and be grateful, like the small things. I don't think ever before, I sat there and like there's moments where I just have the sun on my face because I remember being so light sensitive and wondering like, am I ever gonna want to sit out in the sun again? So just paying attention to those small little things. That's probably why I love my animals because they make me slow down and like, petting them, getting a cuddle. So those things. Next question.
Well, there is no more questions. Tawnie, you have got off the hot seat. You have did it. And the tide is about to leave. So I got to make sure you get back into the ocean and enjoy your night. So, Tawnie, can you please close us out for the night and tell everybody where we can find you? Talk to you guys later. AVM Superhero out.
Greg, I just really want to thank you for doing this for everybody. It's just amazing. And the way you can find me, Tawnie the Neuro Mermaid, TawnieTheNeuroMermaid.com. If you go there, I do update it weekly. I add more resources in there. The more things you guys tell me you want, the more things I'm adding. It also connects you to all my social media. So I tried to make it easy. Tawnie the Neuro Mermaid, Instagram, YouTube, Pinterest, all everywhere. I try to be. What's the last thing? You can even find me as a GIF. If you type in Tawnie or Neuro Mermaid, you'll see me with my mermaid tail that has the brain scan on it. So it's pretty cool. And I appreciate you guys so much. Again, thank you, Greg, and thank you everybody for being here. All right, bye guys.